Hey, I'm back again, just as I promised. I think am I like overcompensating for like going to bed early when I was going to do a video a few nights ago? Maybe, but I'm not because actually the last video, this whole light skin, dark skin discussion, right at the end, I was giving my, kind of closing remarks, and I was like, whoa, jungle fever. And it's funny, actually, in this interim break that I just took the past 20 minutes, there's a couple other things that came to mind. So this is just going to be our dipping our toe, quickly moving through because this film in itself deserves maybe a nice little, maybe watch party, pull a bunch of clips and visit. Only thing I'm just going to give a tip, if this video link isn't available later, or this video isn't available later for some reason or another, just I'll try to revisit it again in the future, but it should be fine. But I just got a little bit of a note when I went to go find this clip that it may or may not be there. But anywho, let's just dive right in. It's a 5-minute clip, and I left the link in the description. So hopefully, once that was available, if you wanted to, you went and took a look at it and watched it in full. I'm gonna try not to go. I'm gonna try not to gentleize. I know it's a new word. I just invented. Just there you go. Thank you. Um, but I'll try to move quickly through this because there's a couple of things that I was thinking of when I went to go look at this. I'm like, man, I can't believe I haven't watched this in so long. Even when I pulled this up maybe a month or two ago, just on for something else. A couple other new points just came to me. So let's take a look. And actually, what I did on the break is I just Googled a few things. I found the old Roger Ebert review of this from June 7th, 1991. Wow. So this came out in 1991, actually. But like I said, in the broader scheme of things, you can kind of look at, that kind of period, the late 80s, mid late 80s going into the 90s, being a part of like the conversations that are happening here. Um, yeah, I don't know how I got up in here. Yeah, I mean, I was in the pulling Wikipedia stuff. But so, if anyone isn't familiar, this is a 1991 film by Spike Lee. At the center of it, Wesley Snipes and Annabella Sciorra, who are a black man and a white woman who find themselves in a relationship. She is not married. She's, single. She lives at home with her father and two brothers. He's married to a black woman. He's a lawyer. And funnily enough, for a while I've been thinking that Ralph Richard Banks' Marriage for White People. That book has come up in so many discussions. I think that's definitely worthy of a discussion to itself. Quite a while back, Kendall St. Charles did a really great, like, I think it was like a two-parter, like in total, and it'd be like 3 or 4 hour kind of like think piece on that book. And I didn't know that he, at least in a certain part of it, references jungle fever and some of the themes in this film into the greater work that he did in that book, and I found it fascinating. Um, since I'm only really focusing on one point here, it's not worthy of mention just yet, but another reason why I want to come back to this. So let's watch this clip. So basically, I think I gave you a little bit of a setup previously. So, spoiler alert for a movie that came out in 1991. So, she's married to Wesley Snipes' character. Uh, they're this kind of like middle class black family living in nice, they're in Brooklyn or Bensonhurst, New York. I remember she's a buyer for Bloomingdale's. I just remember that. And he's an attorney. And they have like a daughter who's like about 10. And they end up with this temp worker, this Italian American woman who, ends up in his office. They start this affair. Everyone finds out about it. So this is kind of the scene after everything is kind of come to light, or she finds out about it, and got the sister circle of here of all hues. I think her name is V, right? The wife's V or D. I can't remember right now. Let's just go back out because I don't want to goof this up. Drew. Drew. Okay. And so they're and apparently, so this is actually key. I'll share this because I didn't, I mean, I had the feeling because of just how a good chunk of Spike Lee movies operate, or that this comes up, and I was able to confirm this just by reading this review. Okay. The mysteries and traps of pigmentation have always fascinated Lee, who told uncomfortable truths about them in his second film, School Days, and again, this time gives us a lot of frank talk. The best single scene in the movie comes as Drew and her friends sit around talking about black men and hard truths ranging from sorrow and anger to humor. The scene was improvised over a period of 2 days by Lee and the actresses who were asked to contribute their own deepest feelings on the subject. So, in the kind of almost like Curb Your Enthusiasm, which years ago when I was really into that series, you find out that every episode is basically like 5 or 7 pages of just scenarios, and all the actors, Larry David and company, just kind of. I mean, there's some things that obviously are written, but they just kind of have this, box to operate within, and they just kind of freestyle and improvise and kind of go from there. So that is what's happening here in this scene. Cause there's just numerous reasons. I was like, black man really sit down and write this all out the way this came to be. No, this is, I guess, obviously between editing and a little bit more structuring here and there. This is a relatively freewheeling conversation, but within the context of the fact that this is a fictional film that came out in 1991. So anything I do say here and extrapolate to the past, the present, and beyond, and anything that I say here, keep in mind I'm very well aware this is just a fictional film. Whether some of the conversations are grounded in some actual real life lived in experiences. Experiences this is. So this is an interesting kind of move from the light skin, dark skin discussion that we just left with Sinji and Chrissy. And there's some other points that come up here to mention. I'll try not to linger too long just because this is something definitely to revisit in a more structured sense. So without further ado, let's check and see. Anybody here come back? No, not yet. Okay. You'll be back. You'll be back. Let's do this.
She ain't nothing but a low-class, white trash. She probably didn't even finish high school. Girl, you know that's what he left me for.
See, I always thought Flipper was the ideal husband, girl. You can never tell. They're all dogs. I promise you, they're all dogs.
Yeah, right. What? We don't have this.
Again, we'll come back with something to really try to move quickly through this. I thought Flipper was the ideal man. Now, she left out the key thing. She was meant to say the ideal black man. Because let's just be frank here, because especially in 1991, when this came out, so this is obviously the tail end of the mid-late 80s going into the early 90s. Not to say that black women don't swirl or whatever. And with this is when it comes to this. I'll just get this now. When I started thinking about this during the last stream, what hit me was these conversations aren't new, and this light skin, dark skin, which you'll see later on in this scene, and then and us dating in or dating out is really not new. And the biggest problem that I was kind of hinting at or moving towards before in the last video with the Cynthia G. Chrissy discussion is a lot of these arguments about now the colorism and the misogynoir that comes up. These are conversations black women have been having for some time. Particularly let's just stay within the past 30, 50 years because this film came out in 1991. We're kind of like using 1960, 65 as this kind of marker period moving forward. So none of this is really new. So one thing she just said here, the ideal man. Quick anecdote. So I was part of this beer club, and one of my friends ran it, and kind of older white guy, just real friendly platonic buddy. And he had some of his older white friends, he's like in his 60s, so they were like in their like 50s, 60s too, and they were married. And then we were just chit chatting, and the wife was like, "Oh, you're so great," and blah blah blah. And we were having fun. She's like, "Oh, we know this black man," and I'm like, I'll just say, I was like, "Oh, okay, great." And then she's like, he's an IBM, right? No, a BMW. And I was like, and I just kind of look at her like, what? And she's like, black man working. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. So and then the other comparable term that you see more in black women's circles is the black woman always looking for her IBM, her ideal black man. So what this woman really means to say is he was the ideal black man. He's married to a black woman, and you guys are middle class, and he's got a good white collar job, and blah 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 blah. And this, I was thinking this whole clip, the like perpetual what's called perpetual surprisedness that black women just have with each other, with everything else with black men. Oh my God, I can't believe he like race mixed cheated on you with some Italian chick from your job. And also here we have this freeze frame. So the wife Drew, you know, I think they reference it. Yeah, they do in the film someplace. I have to again watch this. She's biracial actually. I think her mother's white and her father is black. Or I could have it the other way around. It's been quite some time since I watched this movie in full. I probably watched this movie in full the last time in the like late 90s when I was like a kid. So I can't recall. But then her friend that you'll see later, who in the clip, the one who just said that they're all dogs, is the just happens to be what's implied is fully black, but just very light skinned. Then you have the friend here that's very dark, the one that's kind of more medium brown hue. She's really cool. She was in Girl 6, which is actually one of the Spike Lee movies about like this phone sex worker. It's really, I mean, some of Spike Lee's movies are pretty interesting and they kind of let's not get on a Spike Lee film study right now. But, she's in that movie. Teresa Randall. So what happened to her? Anyway, let's just keep moving. So we were really talking about just he's supposed to be the ideal black man. You're the ideal married black couple. So tying this back to Ralph Richard Banks' Marriage for White People and a lot of discussions that black women have, there's, and what we're seeing in when Chris Link Harrison and Beyond Black and White, that platform comes to the forefront. There's just too much of this, we're all just waiting for Godot, literally. And this is already this is a discussion that takes place in the film that takes place in the early 90s, around that kind of cultural decade between 85 and 95. And black women, as you'll see in the rest of the scene, are still having the same discussion in 2018. So just like I said, if black women can't get out of these boxes of just sitting around with other sisters, shaking their head, girl, these brothers, these white women, if you're not going to move out of that paradigm and be a sovereign, divested black woman, there's really no hope for you, because this discussion in a fictional film in 1991 is not too different from a lot of the black women-centric circles that you'll tend to move into now. But the tide has turned. There's a difference. Don't get me wrong. I do see the difference. I do see the changes. But anyway, let's keep going.
Start dating white men.
Stop it, Joe. I'm not. No, it's true.
We're going to start dating white men. What, girl? What?
No way. There ain't no good black men out there.
Yes, there are.
Drug addicts in jail, homos. The good ones know they the shit. So they got 10 women at a time, leaving babies all over the place.
Wow. That whole little mouthful she just gave, same conversation to it. It's eerie when I thought of this coming back with this. I was a part of me, it's like, no, it's getting late and I really should go to bed. But just doing this as a live stream and just kind of lively talking about this and throwing this out here to you folks to definitely come back to. I was like, whoa, I guess I'll just try to hone in on right now on how the conversation has not changed. Now, it's changed, but does this not sound akin to anything that in the past 5 or 6 years that black women haven't been discussing across various platforms or various circles? And where we keep talking about social media is made different, the internet's made different, divested, swirling, interracially dating black women who, like, for instance, this came out in 1991. Thumbs up in the comment section. Leave a comment if you remember freaking Boy Meets World, Angela and Sean. that was a thing in the 90s. I remember watching Boy Meets World back in that era. I was a big TGIF, Family Matters, Hanging with Mr. Cooper type. And at that time, it was so like, whoa, like this black. And the funny thing, I think I found the history on that. She like, they didn't intend for it to be some interracial love thing on Boy Meets World. I think she just happened to audition for the role. Um, Maybe she knew someone was part of the show. I don't know. It just was very happenstance. But when we look back on that, it was so kind of revolutionary at that time on a show like that. But yeah, they all homos, drug addicts in jail. But the key thing I'll just take out of that is she lays out kind of what the issue that keeps coming up is when you get away from the black male, they just choosing thugs and thugs. She doesn't specify in this comment, but a big part of discussion is always left out is a lot of these so-called good brothers, the good jobs, the ones that are dating black women, they're dating black women plural, and more often than not, black women feel like they're auditioning for wifey roles. This is something you still run into in discussions in the past 2 days, 2 minutes, 2 years in comment sections amongst black women now. This is an excerpt. I'm going to say this again. It's an excerpt from a film from 1991. What has changed in some of this conversation that they're having today?
Marriage is wrecked. It's fucked up. The man is gone. He's fucking some white bitch, and I still believe there's good black men.
There you go. And then there you go. Well, it's like that meme with a little dog sitting in front of his computer and everything's burning. And it's like, everything's fine. It's the same type of black woman, kind of perpetual surprisedness, perpetual shock about, other black women are out to get you, or these black men just care about them. Perpetual surprisedness. Where have you seen that recently? I was just on Twitter, literally outside taking a break, having a smoke before I came back to shoot this. And there was some thread about the Waffle House thing with the black woman that's going on. And, well, I still support the brothers. I just can't believe they're not like, after the Starbucks thing, no one's talking. Perpetual shock. 1991, 2018, the black woman lives her perpetual shock and denial. Now, the tide's turning. It's funny, I saw the tweet between this black woman and another one kind of evolve a little bit more. So, again, I'm going to do my Alex Jones quote. They're breaking the conditioning. And I'm seeing black women breaking the conditioning. And it's happening. And it's happening in these kind of disparate, very uneven ways across things. But it's happening. But again, what is the difference between that? Like, well, my husband has just left me for some white chick at work and he's fucking her. Because the thing is, they have the sex scene. It's not like overly graphic and like raunchy, like bam chicka wow wow in this movie. But like they're having Chinese food late night at work and chatting, and then he like fucks her on like the desk. Because he's like a lawyer. They can say he's a lawyer, but they work at an architecture firm. So I remember there's all these blueprints. He carries blueprints around. So he's like a lawyer for an architecture firm. He's an architect, and somebody just got that confused with being a lawyer. I don't know. But so then they're banging on like the desk there. So, anyway.
And the options? What are the options? You know what the options are? Be gay. Or see somebody who likes you no matter what, Chinese, black, white, or whatever.
Wrong, Hilda. You're wrong as the day.
You see her go, right? The girl next to her. Now, you'll see it because she's going to say something too. This is the heart of what Crystalline cares in Beyond Black and White, the character over color argument. And it's so funny how some of the pushback that she's gotten. So it tells you one thing: why this was not common knowledge, that this wasn't a thought out there. But it's so like revolutionary, because the reason why this almost proves why Crystalline cares and got so much pushback, because most everyone agrees and knows the sentiment. But the heart of it is, when you start choosing character over color, people know that when you're not just grading black men on their alleged dick game or they swag or they melanin or all these kind of cultural things that have been pushed by Hollywood and the music industry and the media and the sports entertainment industry for the past 50 years about black men's perceived, whether it exists or not, certain sexual swag or persuasion. When that's eliminated and that artificial bump isn't given, and you are looking at character over color, then we know how the game likely plays out for too many of them. Not all of them, but for a good chunk of them. So that's why you can't say it. But this is already here. So I was just watching this clip and this break, and I was like, oh my God, that's goddamn CK right there, character over color, baby. So black women have been saying this, they've known this, and again, we phrase this in that this is a conversation black women were having as a kind of a loose improv to shoot this scene. Why is someone like Kristen Cares getting all the hate, the death mail, and this and that, and all the shade from other black women and sisters? Again, it tells you that it tells you a lot of things, but you think about that. What does that tell you? That we're basically hearing kind of like a holographic ghost from 30 years ago saying character over color for Kristen Cares in these recent decades that she's been online to be getting all this kind of hate and pushback.
As long they're out there. The problem is we're looking in the wrong places.
We're looking someplace, I don't know where we're looking, but we're not looking at bus drivers or truck drivers or garbage men, and a lot of them are doing that, and we just won't give them the time of day. But they're good men.
Okay, woo! That was so funny because first I was like, "Oh my God!" It's like the Boondocks joke about Tyler Perry movies, how the black woman is married to this dark skinned, good looking brother who's a lawyer. He leaves her for a white woman or some white women. Then she goes start dating the garbage man who loves Jesus, and then they fall in love happily ever after. So it's so funny because that what she said. Well, we're just not choosing the bus drivers and this and that. Where you cannot, as a black woman listening to this, you can't tell me you didn't hear something to say this about 5 minutes ago, 5 months ago, within the past 5 years. Because we're still again having the same discussions before this. But again, this maybe is the big argument for the pre-internet social media and to compare to where we are now, where the whole sitting in the sister circle in your living room, sipping some wine, going, girl, Now everybody's got a smartphone in their hand, and information is moving a lot quicker between women, black women in particular, and we're kind of getting out of these like outdated mindsets. And also, this is almost a lot of these women in the scene are in their 30s and 40s, which for us today, these have been black women who are now our mothers. For some of you, maybe even grandmothers, depending how old you are. Some of y'all might have been one of these sisters sitting around in 1990s having these conversations. But we're just not giving the garbage man a chance. But again, let's go back to my New York Times Brookings Institute. Check it out here on my channel. They were telling you to do that back then in the 90s. So like they make this seem like all of a sudden it's just we all just dating out and we wasn't doing nothing. They were telling you to go date. They were telling you to stop. But did you know say we were just looking wherever. No, she basically saying you were looking, if you were the black woman who went to college, you got a degree, you are, because again, I know just from remembering and watching this film, I probably watched this film maybe 5 or 10 times my whole life, but the last time was probably like the first time was probably in the mid to late 90s, the last time was probably in the early mid 2000s. She's a buyer for Bloomingdale's, which I guess is some kind of like working class, white collar, job. And so you're looking for them wherever, because I'm almost guaranteed just filling in the blanks here. My own assumption and presumption is she's not looking at, you're not finding black men at your level where you are. So again, it brings us back to discussion today. So we're looking around for them in our college universities. They aren't there, because go look at Raj Chetty and them and all these studies about why the black guys couldn't get manufacturing jobs. Well, there you go. So they all couldn't get manufacturing jobs after they left in the 50s. So if you were a black woman, became a buyer for Bloomingdale's and was doing XYZ up through the 80s and so on into the 90s, well, they had nowhere to go, because 50 years ago, the white man would give them jobs, but they were giving you the job. So you're looking around, but then they're all bus drivers. Well, a bus driver isn't a manufacturing job. A garbage man isn't a manufacturing job. They're working class blue collar jobs, but that's not a manufacturing job. Again, so I'm not going to get into that labyrinth right here, but you see kind of where that little back and forth I just gave you, just out of my rambling, pick apart just how confusing that is, because this is kind of what she's basically giving credence to, this often repeated argument that, well, the brothers just aren't in the school with you because the white man gave them jobs. So when you find a good one, you got to hold on to him. But then, oops, bloop, he's like fucking some white chick on like the blueprints at the office. Again, go look up the movie, go watch the movie. Like, it's crazy because they're just banging on the desk. And we'll see if it comes back. I'll give you the spoiler alert later. Again, it's not really a spoiler because the movie came out in 1991, by the way. You should go watch it. It's an interesting Spike Lee movie. It's probably one of his more famous films. Up there with Do the Right Thing and all that stuff. So, anyway.
How many men do you know, black men, who can effectively deal with a mate who has more education and makes more money? Not many. They freak, and y'all know I'm telling the truth.
I know.
That's true. So, again, another conversation that's almost echoing the whole New York Times Ross Chetty piece. We got a job for the white man, but then when they get with us and we got the jobs, the white man was handing out the box. They're intimidated by us. I mean, it's freaky listening to this clip. And I was thinking this. I watched this movie when I was much younger. I was a kid, and I got to watch a lot of R-rated older movies as a very young kid. So my familiarity with this film goes back so long. And that's what's so interesting is like now I understand these things very, in a very much more fixed sense. I'm a grown woman and I get this stuff now. I'm like, oh my God, this is what black women were sitting around. This is what they were trying to communicate. And then the creepier than that, I end up in circles and conversations. We're talking about this now. So they can't deal with the sisters got more job, more income than them. But then again, they gave us the answer though. We got to go, like Yvette Carnell told us, based on the New York Times article, maybe if she just went to her job and told her white boss to give him a job, maybe this would all be fixed and okay or something. I don't know. Well, we're getting close to we're breaking the conditioning, guys. Let's keep it moving.
The fact remains is that we are losing our men. That's the bottom line.
A lot of this doesn't really so much have to do with the black men. I know it does, and I know we want to blame them, and it is their blame. But part of it is that these white bitches throw themselves at black men. Do you see the way they look at them? You can't walk down the street with your man without 29,000 white bitches coming on to them, and they will give up the pussy because their fathers tried to keep it from them all their lives. When they turn 18 and they leave home, let them get that black dick. They're going to get it. They're going to get it. And it can be yours, or mine, and they want it.
Ugh, that's so fucking cringeworthy. Like, I was like watching that like 10 minutes ago. I was like, oh, let's throw up. Lord. I'm saying that Lord with the T on the end. Lord. Now, I'm not going to go too deep because this is a discussion unto itself. Because this is something Anna X pointed out in one of her videos. She did this really great little riff about how some of these white women, they wanted black men. But the funny thing is, she made a great point. If black women hadn't gone running a big ass goddamn soup cooling liver lips about black man's big man dingo dick to anyone who would listen, and this still persists today, and I literally have to it makes me visibly like shudder. We wouldn't be having this problem. So this whole thing, she mentioned white women, the daddies kept them from it. My first thought was this is like a film in 1991. So the general conversation when this was written was between the late 80s going to the 90s. This isn't like 1927, sweetheart. Like, and I thought about this. Loving versus Virginia. That was like a 1960s case that took down the rest of the miscegenation laws on the books. So by the time we get to the 90s and black women are still sitting here having these weird ass discussions with each other, crying over their warm beer about the brothers leaving them. Like chicks crying over their Moscato today right now about some brother someplace dating some goofy Brazilian exotical redbone someplace. Like nobody so it's not I want to blame the brothers, but these white women throw themselves at them. Just I'm not if you watching along, you know what I'm trying to say. So basically black men's libido is not under his control. He's just a victim of the incarceration rates. He can't breathe, because he's selling Newports illegally. He can't control his penis because these white women just show up and they just flash him with their pussy. Instead of him grabbing them by the pussy, they flash him with their pussy. Okay. Hey, I'll add this to the list of things that we just have to. It's like, childproofing a home. But with this black male, we just got to all these things, these caveats we have to add. Like there's a whole book. I'll put this in my book. So that just really unnerved me a lot. And again, bringing it to today, you still have I think these arguments now, it's funny listening to these. They seem a little bit antiquated, but only because the conversation amongst black women has changed so much in the past decade, if not longer, about a lot of these discussions where these 1990s black women sitting around And girl, these white women just throwing themselves out and they white dad try to keep them from the dick. Ugh. It's so cringeworthy. But the main reason it's so cringeworthy is because someone made a comment, I can't find it, that basically said black women stay so stationary within the past 50 years, especially coming off of 1965, where the brothers talk about the WIC and the welfare, and we left them off for feminism welfare. So that there's this kind of through line there they draw from the 60s onward. For me, looking at in this comment that I read, think about black women, we kind of got caught up in the same, we fought back widely, we got our rights, Great Society, Civil Rights Movement, but black women just kind of kept doing what their mothers, grandmothers did because there was no outside movement to tell them not to do these things, and they just keep moving and bouncing and bobbling along. And they didn't understand that, like, these women by the 90s, they're still sitting having these discussions and realize you need to get out. Like, Jordan Peele's movie was not out yet, but the Get Out should have been on the neck of the conscious of most black women. And so they're sitting here worrying about the brothers sitting around crying their beer in this living room scene. But this is where a lot of these discussions, the harder I want to come back immediately about this with this clip, is this is where black women need to have been. The conversation we're having now in 2018, even though it's grateful, I'm grateful of all the platforms, all the black women that I support these networks and just what they're trying to put forward. The saddest part of these discussions is seeing this in 1991. These are some of the same conversations, too many black women. I don't want to say half. I think half is fair, but it could be a little more or less. Of black women are still in the same mindset. 30 years into the game, even with social media, which should be their best friend, telling them what these brothers think about their asses. Black women still are regurgitating the same goofy shit. This is a fictional movie. A couple of days of riffing on, freestyling and, kind of improvising the scene. But this does not sound uncharacteristic, something I would stumble into online from black women. Well, these white women and these, they just leaving us and Becky's meeting me, blah, 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 blah. Divest and get the fuck out. Like, so this is what makes you want to strangle most black women, because this conversation is not akin to what you were stumbling into a lot of black women. It's just resolve like, well, I guess, we just stuck here sitting around in Blackistan. Like, I don't know. So yeah, we can talk to brothers all day, and that's a great point, because actually Kendall has a video up on her channel, her Facebook channel I started watching. And one of the good points is I didn't really get to watch much of it because I was doing my video prep tonight. Well, yeah, black women there's a lot of conversations black women have to have with each other, and they have to evolve. If the fact that I'm finding parallels between something in the 1990s compared to now is kind of goddamn pathetic, because I literally hear black women like this every day online that sound just like this shit, and it's really sad.
And they're getting deal with the black man for a minute. Oh, Inez. There's a lot of self-hate going on when he can't deal with his sister.
Yeah, but Inez, how would you know? You won't deal with a black man. How would you know?
Oh, no. I do date black men, but I also date Chinese, Latino, Jewish, the full spectrum.
That's not really a consolation for this particular
Well, it's not
argument
supposed to be. All I'm saying is I know you think I should date black men, but I'm going to date who I like. Give me a man, regardless of the color of his skin, who is nice to me, who is sweet to me, and who I strongly believe loves me.
It's no, but Inez, I am not the rainbow fucking kind.
Yes, you are the reading rainbow. We know this.
Now, okay, that's again, like, I love the Ebert when he referenced this scene, that paragraph that I read before this started. But that's just so funny. Well, I'm not the reading rainbow fucking type. So it's so funny. Like, and I will say this is a market difference now with the certain STDs that are coming back from brothers in prison. Black women, find out he's got like a family over across town. A whole. Well, I guess sadly we can just stay with the STD thing and say, well, I'm not the rainbow fucking kind. I'm not dating on across the rainbow. But there's so many black women who only date and have. So there was some Twitter comment about something about black women. It was weird. So I think it was somebody like, oh, it's my black girlfriend. I don't know where it came up as someone kind of like quasi alt-righty scene, and I remember one of the guys like, whoa, somewhere in the thread was like, oh, well, black women have the highest rate of like herpes or STDs. Like, what the fuck? And and it's so funny. I stopped because this comes up so much, and I'm like, well, and I don't think I replied because like sometimes I just don't. Just because there's things I want to communicate and share. Anyway, I don't need to explain that right now. I didn't reply, but then I'm thinking in my head, Well, majority of black women only have sex with black men, and they're not the rainbow fucking type like she just referenced. And look at the like stats, the CDC stats, and the shit that they're going through. There's that really famous clip from like a month ago. The black woman, I think she was in Milwaukee. Yeah, talk about, getting HIV from her baby daddy, who had been in jail. This Facebook Live, she just goes live like, oh, blah blah blah, I have HIV, and blah blah blah, and I don't know. I'm like, and she like 2 or 3 kids, and they're like, in the background hanging out, and she just talks about 20 minutes or something. So you're not the rainbow fucking type. And you see, again, these are the things that, so you can't sit here. This is a great point. Oh, you hate black men. So I'm looking for some welfare wicked weave comment after this. But this is specifically where I'm going to stop and say this. Black women keep other black women boxed into these circles more than anybody. And, I'm not the rainbow fucking type. Ooh, but, well, what does that even matter when, especially because this is in the early 90s, and we were probably starting to see the beginnings of it, but it really started to come through within the past 10, 20 years. You can talk. It's funny. Somebody tried to come at me about the welfare of the super predators. Clinton comment. Well, I don't care about them calling you a super predator if the shoe fits. But interestingly enough, when we think about the incarceration rates that came about, how many black men went into prison, were engaging in sex with other black men or other men in general, down low sex, and came back out, and that came out, and that was something that, because then you started reading these stories over the next 5-10 years of black women carrying HIV rates, tied to having a partner who had been incarcerated for certain periods of time, and how black women start to become the face of the HIV epidemic, and how that was another blow. And with all these other discussions that black women have been having, online and this and that, and how white supremacy, this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. So circle that back to what I said about the comment, black women, their herpes rates, black women, their STD rates. But again, black women almost near exclusively only sleep with black men. So where are they getting these STDs from? So you don't want to be tasting the rainbow, but without tasting the rainbow, you're acquiring these pathologies and these kind of like statistics that are like harmful to you, obviously in a physical sense, but then they're marking other black women in terms of a certain a certain social racial demographic. But anyway, tangent a bit. Let's back to Miss she's like proto crystalline cares and character over color over here.
Drew, if it'll make you happy, honey, I will make a pilgrimage to Africa, the motherland, and find myself a true tribesman.
A true Asiatic black man.
With a dick down to his knees to keep me happy for days.
Zulu dick!
That's right, girl. Give me some serious Zulu dick in the bush.
Okay, that kind of made me cringe too, because it was funny how it was this great riff between her and the other woman in previous, like, oh, I'm dating character over color. But then, of course, and I'm not, again, especially since I found out that this was a scene that was kind of improv amongst these black women for at least 2 days. And shooting this clip, as Roger Ebert tells it, that they had to slide back in. Well, brothers and his big man dingo dick. We just gotta like, we could talk about getting out or dating out or something else, but they'll come back, But I guess in a way, when Serena married Alexis Ohanian, oh, how's he gonna handle all that booty? We talk about, oh, I'm really into Katie and Becky and them, but give me a black sister with a thick booty. And so you'll see on the other end too, but like we just have to come back to these very crass things about like each other's booties or dicks or something. It just felt kind of like you kind of ruined that great riff. But I think more often than not, as things change, you'll have less black women feel the need like they have to come back around and be like, oh, I'm dating out and swirling, but my man dingo dick, ding 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 ding, yeah, cringe.
Do any of you know what it is like not being thought of as attractive? I can't believe you ever believed that. Drew, it's the kind of shit you buy into, okay? I was always the darkest one in my class, and I know you know what I'm talking about. All the guys ran after the light-skinned girls with long, straight hair, and that left me out. And it's that same kind of thinking that leaves us out when it comes to white women. Now, back in the day, brothers would get sisters that looked like you, Drew, and you, Vera, But now, light skin ain't even good enough. Today, brothers are going for the gusto. I mean, the real McCoy. That's why Flipper's gone. White girls got it made. The whole.
I wish I would have thought of this sooner before, and I would have played this before the clip that I just did and after. Because, girl, that was everything. That wasn't everything. That was everything. And this whole light skin, dark skin discussion, especially because it's so funny watching this happen now. It's almost like if everyone could just come to the table and talk about this, in a proper sense. So yeah, it was the light skin, dark skin debate amongst Black women is so outdated, and why this seems like more division is because this was already something that, again, if these women could riff on this, even though it had been written just by some man or someone else down and scripted for them to recite in 1991, the sentiment and the idea, the impetus behind this experience was already there. And this was something that needs to have happened then. That we could have movies like this and scenes like this. This is a conversation Black women need to have been having then. So yeah, so the light skin, dark skin debate right here with them. Like, it was great for them to be with Drew or Vera, who were obviously in this circle, the very lighter skin, and I think even Drew herself in the film, she is biracial. I remember they have an argument at her job. He shows up and they're arguing about the whole affair, and he's like, "Don't you think your white mother or white father ever felt resentment towards your Black?" I can't remember which parent was which, but she is biracial. And so they even have this argument, her and Wesley Snipes, who plays the husband, Flipper. So this was already there for some time. And that this has just been something Black women have been shuffling underneath. And as things move more towards, let's, try to get, white folks to like feel guilty and get some more at least emotional reparations, whatever. This has already been there. So yeah, this is how so this is again what I was trying to suggest previously. Now they don't say it on the other end, but some of the lighter skinned women like them, it's like, oh, how could you feel that way? Well, it's kind of bullshit. Well, the thing is, I think this is where like the Chrissies and the darker skinned Black women get so viscerally upset, is because, but again, this is what I was trying to suggest. It's not. It's a little too much to unpack. I think I would just love to isolate that particular comment that she made and just spend about maybe 30 minutes just going back and forth and placing it within the context of what I talked about in the last stream. So let me stop my tangent there. You can go watch this clip again. I definitely want to just pull that apart for its own sake of how important that is.
Everything that we've been doing and everything in the society, we just keep on doing the same thing over and over. Yes. Keep on telling ourselves, negating ourselves, our own value. Look at the brothers who are successful. Look at them. Most of the brothers who have made it got white women on their arms. Okay? In order to go up that little ladder to success, seems like you got to have Miss Faye on your arm.
No, you really don't. And I'm just thought that no, if Black women had been sitting back here crying in their beer and condoning it, or hadn't made certain choices, and maybe it wouldn't have to be that way. Now, granted, other factions of non-Black people, certain whites, certain tribal people who may have been pushing a certain agenda of Black men and white women, particularly for certain ends of their own, in particular, this is where I think the JQ is really important to discuss, because there's something else more. There's some other things going on here that I don't think Black women are really privy to, and that I do want to expand upon. I'm kind of in the process of actively seeking someone to kind of maybe come in and maybe do a live stream with me to discuss this and maybe flesh it out a little bit more. But this whole, well, they had to get a white woman to come up. Well, no, not necessarily. So one part of that is something I want to bring someone else in on, because it's a very specific question with echoes and parentheses around it that I want to discuss. But more importantly, what Black women now are even talking about today, how Black women have condoned and allowed this. And we've sat there having our little sister circles crying our beer, but we won't publicly push back or challenge anything. So yeah, it's a thing, but it's also because Black women have sat back and condoned and owned it. Maybe not you, maybe not me. A lot of us now who are under 40 particularly, these are women who are probably the same ages of our mothers and grandmothers at this time in the 90s, if not older or slightly younger. We didn't, we personally didn't today, but we're looking back at y'all in the 80s and 90s and even back to the 70s, like, what the fuck? Like, you guys let this spiral completely out of control, and look at where we are now.
Their responsibility level isn't the same as
It's not a
ours.
question of responsibility. It's just a fundamental disrespect.
Disrespect
of
of women.
women.
I mean, I don't care the
What's a good point? Like, well, when men are men, and then it's the responsibility of women to hold men to a certain, standard, and to like revoke certain privileges and goodies. Hell, even Spike Lee's later film, the whole what's that, Chirac? Never saw it, but I know the premise is based on the old Greek play. I'm gonna say this wrong. Forgive me. Lystrata. I know I'm goofing it. The play where all the women decide to stop having sex with the men unless they stop warring and beefing. So, but that never happened amongst black women in any sizable amount or any way. And then even on top of that, where they, maybe just had a relationship here or there too for this or that, just to maybe have a child, they're feeling the way that they wanted to have a child, no matter what, whether the father was around or not, just to fulfill that kind of mother wound, that mother need to like be a mom, and then that identity amongst black women of just wanting to be mothers and have children in general. So yeah, I mean, when see, this is what I was trying to get with the Chrissy Sinji's discussion that didn't really hit. They don't have any type of responsibility, or there's no, that's that old saying, the buck stops here. With women like Chrissy and Sinji, and no matter what they're saying, where they're trying to uplift our skinned black women, they're trying to uplift black people in general against more white supremacy, whatever they're trying to do in their own, disparate aims and goals. There's no buck that stops for particularly black men or even for other black people how they should respect or treat them. So what are you going to do making all these demands? We gotta fight white supremacy and the pigskins or whatever the hell else that they flap their gums about. Well, what are you really going to do? There is no line. There is no line in the stand. There is no Gandalf in either of them that's saying, you shall not pass. If you cross me, you do this, you do that. Kendall said, I laughed for a second because I kind of got what she was saying. She said, well, it's one thing. I didn't give birth to my son. He didn't give birth to me. I gave birth to him. So, he comes home with someone that does not honor my image. That's one thing. But I'll sit the hell right up in that damn house with, he can't bring home Becky Griffin, but I'll sit my ass up there with Brad Griffin. And I'm definitely taking her very loosely, not verbatim, but that was a similar to the sentiment she described. And I remember laughing because she said this years ago. And I was like, oh, I don't really, I'm like, well, that's not fair. And then when she said that again, maybe like in the past, like maybe a few months, and I stopped, I was like, well, but when she said that way, I gave birth to him. He did not give birth to me. And the certain restrictions and responsibilities that, parents place on children, think about like some of your East Indians or your, very strict Jewish, families and parents. It's so funny how, as a race of people, for blacks, we have all these, we have these rules where a lot more freedom would serve us better, but we have so much lax ideas of responsibilities and obligations to one another, where absolute iron fist. So like smacking your kids the fuck up for the silliest shit on the street, in public, wherever, but you come to their house, it's like roaches everywhere, and they pack out their shit in garbage bags, and they don't. I don't know. Black people confound me. As a black person, I'm confounded by black people every day. I have a whole list, but that was quite a tangent right there. So let's just jump back in. We're really at the end, as you can see here.
Best man. It's hard for him to say no. Some pussy stared him in the face. I'm sorry. I don't know the man that's been born. Let's go say no. You look around. Ain't nobody looking. He going fuck us. Okay.
Hey, okay. The funny thing, this is an argument that I'm gonna have to make a very specific video about, because this. I'm gonna give this away right here to my two viewers. Arguably, everything that we see with the race mixing, particularly where black men do it about twice as much as black women do, blah blah. let's just say they really wanted to be with a white woman. The white man's ice and women is colder. I argue, and I had this. I've been thinking this about the past 6 months when I really honed in on this. Considering how black women write songs about, like, what's that set? I don't know, is it SZA or SDA? The Weekend, all the songs, all the music and the drama of black women sharing a man. He's still my man. I love him. You may be on the side, but this side chick culture, baby, all the things that we, and let's use that loosely in air quotes, celebrate. The man sharing wouldn't we? It's obviously not a problem with a good chunk of black women, and hell, quiet, not less quiet as it's kept when we talk about the down low culture and the prison culture. You may be sharing your nigga with some other dude, so it obviously does not bother a large enough majority of black women. So my theory is this: if black men really want to sleep with white women and fuck them and get over on white daddy, get them some Aryan Queen in the wheat field, fine. But if the genetics, without the large amounts of race mixing outpacing black women, weren't occurring, and the wealth and the genes stay within the black race, so like this in this film, this magic black couple, middle class, living in, like, a nice borough of New York. But he wanted to have sex with a white secretary, but the dick stays wrapped up. You're not making children with her. You're not running away with her. It's a contained relationship. You want a little sexual healing. Feeling like you're this. What's the line from Othello? Where the Iago throws it loosely at Desdemona's father, like, do you really want some black buck tupping your white you? I'm not gonna go look it up now because I don't feel like it. But like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, go find that Othello quote. You can go put that down here in the comment section. Then maybe this whole thing really wouldn't be such a problem. It'll be a problem, of course, but to a certain degree. But considering the situation that this race is in, especially in America, completely today, if they really want to just have sex with white women and feel like they was getting over on white daddy by basing their daughters or they wives or nieces, at a certain point, if the genetics and the money and the wealth would stay in the black race and black community pretty much entirely, then in a sense, black women too often than not don't mind man sharing. Go listen to half of their songs, half of their little sad social media posts about, he with his, side chick, this chick, that chick, bullshit. It's obvious that black women don't particularly care about man sharing. They'll man share it, do nigamy for, like, EBT cards and nothing. So I mean, what's really the difference if it was structured and there was a basic understanding that the genetics stay in the race, the money and acquired wealth stays in the race. If you think about, like, just a very stereotypical example, some white middle manager, regional executive, insurance guy, some white guy lives in some, like, decent, middle class suburb, makes on paper 100K a year, wife, 2 kids, 2.5 kids, a dog, whatever. He's married. He's gonna stay married on paper probably until the day he dies. He's like, maybe let's just make him 50. Once every 6 months, maybe, when he's visiting across, out of state or on a business trip, maybe he sees, like, an escort for, like, I don't know, 2 hours and some money, or you see what I'm saying? Then he does that. He goes back home. He still works his middle manager, white collar job for some mid-level insurance company. His wife, probably works like some other type of comparable white collar job. 2.5 kids, a dog. But he's still married to a white woman in his own race. The genetics stay in the race. The wealth stays in the goddamn race. And overwhelmingly not him, his peers, his neighbor, his brother, his cousin, other men who look like him in his circle across his racial group are married to women of their own race and keeping money and wealth in their own race. So arguably, you can have a discussion you want about sex out of marriage. You can have a discussion about prostitution. We can have all the discussions. But I hope, I'm just trying to very concretely, succinctly suggest here is, wouldn't that be a little bit more optimal for a black race of people? We pull our small violin for the whiteys. Oh, we sold slavery and broke up our families and we don't know nothing. And, you know, and then we get to like a film like this and situations like this through the present day we're in, where, you know, the brothers are leaving us for white women and we got to cry into our beers or the sisters, have conversations that sadly black women in 1991 are still having in fucking 2018. I'm just looking for an alternative solution that, or even a way to kind of not to rewrite history in the sense that arguably would this have been a better situation? But then since, anyway, that's taken to another meta level. I don't want to take it to, but that's food for thought, because I think I actually ended up in this very weird discussion with a black man maybe a year ago. And I think I'm going to post this comment that I wrote to him in this response email, because I lay that out because, you know, he's one of these He-Man Black Woman Hater Club type freaks. And I got really pissed off, and it hit me when I never thought of that before. I was like, well, God damn it. If y'all really want to fuck these white women so much, why don't you shut the fuck up about everything about your mom, your sister, your niece? And then I said also, I was like, well, God damn it. You know, maybe my, you know, libertarian ANCAP, you know, decriminalize everything, heroin, prostitution, horse racing. I don't give a shit. Just maybe if we decriminalize some of this stuff, the people who want to go overboard will just go overboard and leave the gene pool, race aside, class aside, and we'll be left with the people who can handle their vice and move the fuck on. But this makes me remember saying this. It's up to this black man. Well, if y'all really want to fuck these white women so much, well, goddamn, can you keep the race and the damn generational wealth in the black community? Like, if you really want them so bad, you know, why do you make Whiterson middle manager 401k dude? He can go get some, you know, I don't even know how you even talk about, like, you know, oh, guys are into like little Asians. They're not married to a little Asian, but they really want to be with one for a night. So they'll go pay $1,000 and bang some Asian for like a couple hours, and they're done. They're still married to their wife. They still have their white Aryan Kang genetics and their Aryan Kang gene pool, and they done with it. But you brothers like want to like leave, and we gonna get a white woman. We gonna go over here. Anyway, I went on way too much tangents. The sad, because that's the next video I want to come back to. She found this great clip of this black man talking about, well, I never knew what sushi was, and I would eat sushi, and you know, you get out and you start getting out with white women, and it's like, well, like she made the point, well, why can't you know you go out, you know, like some black women, like I mean, I love sushi, so this whole that whole conversation I found really interesting, but the impetus is to just, well, these people do this, I'm gonna leave, and then I guess no other black woman wants to do this. Well, I'm gonna go over here with them and do that, which is fine. But then I'm gonna go point my finger back at the people who are over there. It's like, well, yeah, I went on a way bit of a tangent there, but that was a good one because again, I'm gonna make a quick note. That's something that I do want to revisit. Race mix out. Keep the money and the genes in. If that's what you're kind of, you know, arguing. Keep the money and the genes in. You know, not to disparage men and their sexual prowess, race across all racial lines, but like to a good degree of a lot. I'm not going to say what I was going to say because this is a family channel. It's not a family channel, but I'm just not going to say that. And we're really at the last like 52 seconds.
If you're in a committed relationship, then you are supposed to be able to say no. It's the art of no theory for me. Okay? If you know that you're involved with this person, you have no business. And I know that there's such things. I mean, you're going to get turned on and all. You're going to see somebody you want to fuck, but your mind's supposed to tell you, I have a committed relationship here. I have a wife. I have whatever. And tell the dick to shut the fuck up. Tell the dick to right down. Strap that motherfucker down. You have to.
You know something, though? It don't even matter what color she is. My man is gone.
So that's literally the end. It jumps right over to like another clip from the movie. So yeah, so you know, there's this whole conversation about Daniel Donald, like Danny Glover, Donald Glover, and apparently I saw that I watched like 30 seconds of it. I was like, yep, I'm done. He's got some clip of some black woman freaking out because some black man is out with a white woman. And I was thinking about this. This is also from Jungle Fever. If you remember, Queen Latifah is like the waitress in this black restaurant. He brings the white woman in to go eat. Well, I'll just play. I'm gonna turn the sound off because we're not gonna cover this tonight. Because I'm gonna make my closing points. Well, just so you can see who we've been talking about in this film the whole time. This is Wesley. Yeah, we'll just. You can see both of them. It's so funny because I was rewatching this and I'm like, oh, so that's the Italian secretary. That's the good black man, IBM husband guy. God, everybody's so 90s with those like little short-sighted fades on the side. Oh my God, so 90s. Anyway, so I just wanted to jump into that. I'm not gonna meander and hey guys, blah 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 too much because damn, sorry, 2:00. Oy vey. So I'm gonna just leave that there. Thank you for coming back quickly and watching along. So in closing, there's a lot of discussion that it's like, what's that song? The more things change, they say the same. That clip is worthy of a lot more discussion, and which I hope to do. Particularly just the color line. That was really cool for me to go back and see that again. Especially looking at my little sideline, there's a couple things I want to check out that I really want to catch up on today. So not gonna go. I'm not gonna like have a long exit. So thanks for coming back. Have a good night. We'll be back with some more fun stuff. Like I said, I don't want to go too far, not having like at least a video a day or something like that. If not, more than that. So anyway. Oh, so this is where the comments are? Holy crap. Like, okay, like, I kept thinking it's supposed to show up in that little damn box. Oh my God, people are commenting. Well, how can I see that? Oh, because, I get it now. Why is it in here? You see this group chat? So it's all, well, why isn't anything in here? Okay, hi. Show up on the other side? Nope. Oh my gosh. I'm so embarrassed. Like, so those people listening, commenting, like, you see me like freak out. Literally, I'm like, well, why is this thing not showing up? I thought it was supposed to come in this goddamn box. Do you see this? Nobody can probably see it. Do anybody see this box I'm pointing to? I just put hi in there and it's not called. This is something totally different. Oh my God. So people probably said something in the comment section. I'm just like not paying attention. I agree. They didn't do anything, and I think many promoted it. Self-hate is real. Yeah. Okay, I'm still recording. I'm like freaking out about the internet and the Google. I gotta go back to the Google and find out why the Google wasn't Googling like I thought it should Google. Now I'm like getting sleep delirious. I've been up like since 5 a.m. We need practical really close contact. Oh, okay. Hey y'all. Well, you can hear me like freaking out. Hey, y'all. Thanks for commenting all this time. Yeah, now I'm spell checking myself. Commenting all this time. Didn't mean to not just write back like an idiot. I know I've been warning for weeks. Like, why is there nothing showing in that box? Yes, I can see everyone. Let me just delete this goddamn comment. I see all y'all in y'all beauty. Why am I talking like y'all all of a sudden? Yeah. How about that? I wasn't around with the goddamn box all week, and I was like, "There's gotta be a reason that thing is open." And I don't know. And I don't ever watch them in the video like this when I do this. Oh, God damn it! I'm really annoyed with myself right now. I need to like go learn the internet better. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh my god, it's a perfect live stream, so you can hear me like learn how the Google works. Like I'm some like boomer idiot. Oh yeah, I'm so amusing myself. Like I'm really sorry, y'all. Like maybe I should just turn the microphone off. I'll laugh for like 10 minutes on my own. You hear you saying, you type it, you'll see the chat. We're like inside your mind now. Oh my god, it's like Herman's Head. Does anybody remember the show Herman's Head from like the 90s? It was like this dude. He was like some like office worker, and he had like, oh my god, because he had these little people in his head. And Lisa Cartwright, Nancy Cartwright. Nancy Cartwright, she the voice for Lisa Simpson on The Simpsons. Well, like her, she's a real life actress. She's like this really tiny little chick. And so there was a show called Herman's Head back in like the 90s. I don't know how many seasons that lasted for, maybe like 3 or 4 or something. It didn't last very long, but I remember really loving that show. You know, one of my favorite things is like going back and like seeing like the repeats of streams and comments in the sections. Yeah, it totally did. Oh my god, yeah. I love Married with Children. That was like my jam. Oh, and it's so weird watching Ed O'Neill and like Modern Family. Like it's this really interesting full circle for him to kind of come through. It's weird because like I remember being a kid and like I came with this theory later on about Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Well, like, okay. Here's my I'll have to edit the title. Here's my Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. You know, he would get up and he would come in and sing the song, and he's wearing a suit, and he would take off like his jacket and put on like this sweater. And I don't know, I did not originate this, but I think I maybe saw it someplace like later on, I was in high school. Someone was like, you know what? Mr. Rogers lost his job, and he would like basically didn't want his wife to know he lost his job. So he would just like leave the house in his like suit and his briefcase, like, and then he would like go to this little house and like do this show and this whole world with us. And you know, then he would like take off the cardigan and put his suit back on and pretend like, you know, he was at work all day. And it probably lasted for like 20, 30 years or something or whatever. Oh, Mr. Rogers. Yeah, so yeah, so okay, so then think about like Married with Children. Like he's married to Peggy, these two like bratty kids and their goofy neighbor. So then like the show ends and maybe they like divorce or something, and he shows up like all retired. But no, it doesn't work because he's a shoe salesman on Married with Children. But in Modern Family, he's like some construction, Jay Pritchett's construction, whatever thing. So maybe he stops selling shoes and he becomes a construction guy. Then like, well, if you know what, think about it, you draw this weird narrative, he becomes this like in the way some of these MGTOW red pillars talk, like, you know, they're all gonna like, you know, leave the starter wife and like marry some like, you know, base Latina and like, you know, start over anew. So maybe he was a shoe salesman, then he like upped his game, and then he like became a construction dude. But then where did he get those other 3 children from? Anyway, I've taken that narrative way farther than I should have. So maybe on some continuous loop, alternate timeline, Al Bundy becomes Jay Pritchett somewhere over the rainbow or something. Yeah. Oh my god, so this is where people start talking. This is so weird. It's awesome. Oh my god, like you guys probably think I'm like 80 years old. God damn it, the Google, I couldn't figure it out. No, I like literally wonder like why is there nothing in this damn chat? So like, oh my god, like God, you know, it's like, are you there, God? It's me, Margaret, and anyway. Well, folks. No, I'm not cool because I can't figure out the Google, man. God, once I like figure out some really great shit to do, I'm gonna delete this like ASAP. You better just go ahead and screen grab this right now and like record it because this is embarrassing as fuck. That stupid goddamn chat, and look, can anybody see this? This is how the Hangout thing presents itself. And there, oh, you can't see it. It says group chat. Well, then what the? Close it. Why is that even there? Ah. I'm so frustrated because like I'm not like a senior citizen. I'm like in my early 30s. I should know better. God damn it! I gotta go to work tomorrow. I got a TPS report to fill out and shit. Yeah. Well, This is a whole new world for me. Yes. Not that kind of closet though. Strictly hetero. No hate on anybody else, free love, all leaves are brown. Sky is gray over here. But yeah, it's kind of, I got one of those like walk-in closets, the roomie gave me the cool room. So yeah, man. It's like shoes over there, mirror over there, books over there. It's kind of fun. Oh yeah, thank you. Was it Mr. E Mail? Oh, well, right on. That's good to know. Oh my god, how many of these conversations have I been missing out on? But again, this is like Herman's head, really. Like, you guys should all count yourself lucky and save yourselves. Say this for posterity. Some goofy ass on the internets. That's how them chats work. Oh my god. I need like it's like I'm doing this on like a clamshell phone. Like, oh man, I could take pictures with this thing. Oh my god. Oh my gosh, I've been talking for like 2 hours. So thank you all so much. I discovered Kendall. Maybe I don't know if you're single or what. Oh man, just from these general YouTube streets. I mean, um, Miss Archduchess. It's been quite a while. Like I've been trying to retrace on my YouTube and to like folks like her who like I like I in a way I've known forever, but I'm not really sure. Uh, for some time with Kendall, Brooklyn Kendall, that was tricky because I had Facebook for a while, then I like just got like a dummy account, and then I kind of like moved out into oh. I can't remember if it was before or after the dummy, or then when she started showing up on YouTube, had it just like way these algorithms work. I mean, surprised I know the word algorithm even means, considering I can't figure out this Google group chat shit tonight. Like, oh, but I think that why I triggered myself, I left a comment here just for fun, like, hey guys, yeah, so I'm the first one up there. Just through the general YouTube streets, the algorithms work in the sense that it leads you towards things that you may not be cool with or may not want to check out when you find them. I just can't give you. I don't even. I want to ask myself the same question too. Just long enough that for both of them, at a minimum, it's been about 2 years, if not maybe 3, depending on how long. I mean, Kendall's only really been on for 2 years. So I think she might have come up with someone else's mentions, and then it was just like boom. But Miss Archduchess has probably been a little bit longer than that. Blah blah blah. Tangent. Well, yeah, this is great. Like, this is what the internet communities are for, man. I had a great time here with y'all. Yeah, it is what it is. It's for me. It's more important. I mean, I wanted to do this for quite some time. I feel like I have so much to say and talk about that I get a little bit too chatty and like, rah, I got so much to say. So at this point, this is again, I've said from the very beginning, this is just kind of a rough estimate channel. Like, in the sense, I just want to like use this as kind of like the spaghetti on the wall, and maybe I'll change it to something else, come up with some other type of designation, you know. So I'll get people, but again, like I said before, there's a couple other things I'm really looking to. Well, again, now it's time for me to really make this damn video on the freaking. You kind of keep to the black community. Nice air quotes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and especially today, like anybody Oh, reasonable and well balanced. Well, thank you. You may see the whole Kanye Trump thing today. It was so funny, like stuff black people don't like. Paul Kersey on Twitter was just like, a lot of people were like, "Oh my god, like this is so great," and, it's all these normie boomer conservative types. It was so obnoxious. I was like cringing all afternoon, and then it's like I really need to make up my official. I think that's what I actually want to work on for this weekend. My official, the state of the alt right, dissident right, neo reactionary scene, everything that I've seen, where things are going. That's what my goal is, to really just hone in on a video. And I think from that whole, again, they make a note: Starbucks, Stephon Clark, and Kanye. I'm gonna have to come back with that tomorrow. I can make some notes today while I'm at work. Yeah, it is what it is. Go cringe away. I mean, it's so, I don't know. We're in this really weird paradigm shift that we're living in right now. Yeah, punching things in the YouTube, man. You just never know what you'll find. But anywho, you guys all should come back. Maybe I'll try to make I'll try to give a little bit more length or breadth of time before I do these things. So y'all should come back, like Mail and Jonathan Morgan. Like, thank you for, welcoming into like the actual conversing with people that I've probably been missing for maybe like a month or two that I've been doing this, but better late than never. Well, tomorrow's Thursday. Man, it's like everybody just live streams now. It's so great. Yeah. So I always like extra energy, but I must put it to going to do TPS reports in the morning. Slow cat with TPS reports. So, hit the like button, share, subscribe. I know everybody shills and does that, but like, look, it's what you have to do. It's the mantra, all that good stuff. Yeah. Well, it's not that I didn't know the goddamn chat thing existed. I literally thought it was supposed to connect into that damn box in the hover box that shows you where you're like, which screens you're sharing. So all this time I was just like, oh, well, nothing's in there. And I was like, well, I should just say hi. Like, like the whole theory, like when you have like a tip jar, you put $1 out, like to kind of give people the idea of the tip, like if you're working at some like concession stand or whatever. So I only just thought that, and I'm like, well, I should just say hi, blah, blah, blah. So annoying to me. Okay, I'm like I'm delirious from my discovery night, man. Yeah. You message cancel me that said I've been typing too much. Oh, really? No one's typing too much. But seriously, I have to let this go. Oh god, it's almost 2:30. God damn it. Ugh. But I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to make the goal video a day, unless there's something like extraneous thing. I'm going to be traveling for a little bit next month for like a couple days, but video a day, y'all. Good night. Thank you so much. Come back. You can save this for like, yeah, I remember that crazy bitch like didn't understand that the texting happens inside of the goddamn video. Woo! So funny. Yeah. You guys too. Seriously. Jonathan, email, and towards the top, she had to leave earlier, ChazB98. He leaves some cool comments on my channel. Gracias to you as well, Senora. Cheers, y'all. See you again.